Hi friends, I just watched my last video and it's time for an update. Now I watched a part that was talking about happiness, striving for what you want. I agree. From the outside of my life at the moment, for those that are really close with me and know me, it doesn't look like that. I think it's really important to say it doesn't matter what they think. So the last one I was talking about how I was getting my dream life, everything I wanted. I asked for these things, I was getting what I wanted. However, I'm at a new stage of life where I realize now that what you want isn't always necessarily what's best for you. Now, as a kid, your parents sort of say that and they go, I'm doing what's best for you, and you kind of hate them for it. You're sort of like, yeah, but I want to go and get drunk with my friends. Why are you locking me up here? I want to be free. And then as a parent now, I'm sort of like, no, I get it now. I get that. Can't let them do that all the time. They go down that rabbit hole. They go down the dark paths that you're kind of terrified of as a parent. You gotta have that balance, right? As a parent, you gotta be like, no, you can't eat a lolly every day. Sorry. You're not living off McDonald's. Sorry. Well, anyway. So what's been happening in my life since? The dream life has significantly taken a turn. So I realized I was getting what I wanted, but it wasn't what made me happy. And it takes actually getting those things that you want to realize that. So my fiance and I split up, and this was a while ago now. And it was really hard. It's very public. It's a different level of really, it's my own judgment on relationships for myself, where I go, man, that's a lot of people that you had to email from the RSVPs and be like, actually, we're not doing this anymore, so guys. Whole nother level of like humiliation, public recognition, like really being seen. A whole nother level of relying on others to support you. And another level of recognizing who is really there for you, who really understands you as a person. And it's rough looking at those things. My best friend of however many years, far out, how many years? My best friend of 20 years, that was my maid of honor, said she couldn't be my friend anymore. She didn't ask me why we ended things. She asked me once whether I was okay. And I said no. I said I wasn't okay. And she didn't reply. And in my mind, well, there's three things. The first is that you sort of wonder and go, how good of a friend was she? And I hear you asking yourself that. The second, she asked if I could check on my ex because she's who I met him through. I said, yeah, of course, be there for him. As a good friend. Did she choose his side? Most likely, at the moment. Most likely. And the third thing was relief that I no longer have that person in my life. Sorry if you're listening to this. Why do I say that? The hardest part of being a single parent is putting your kids before yourself. Now, I know that is the hardest part of being a parent in general. But when you're a parent, you have the other person there to sort of be your backup, to sort of be that person that gives you that sanity check or the support, that you're both mutually choosing them over yourselves. And you're kind of not choosing them over yourselves because you have each other. Like, you've already chosen each other to have this life and move forward with it. That wasn't my experience, obviously. And so what happened with my ex-fiance was that I chose what was best for me and my children over a loving relationship. Don't get me wrong. I can see absolutely where I was flawed throughout the relationship. But as a parent, there's always that one red flag that you just cannot look past. And so it made it very easy not to doubt my decision. Because the safety of my children, the mental safety, not just physical safety, the mental safety of my kids is more important than me having a relationship. And that reality as a single parent is a hard pill to swallow. And I know lots of single parents that actually haven't been able to swallow that pill. I know lots of parents that haven't been able to swallow that pill. So it took some time to realize, accept, actually is probably the better word, accept that I may not get a lot of things that I wanted in my life because of past decisions. And I know that a lot of people know that, well, have been told that. Maybe they don't fully understand it. You go through an experience and it changes your mentality, it changes your environment, it changes how you react to things. You know, if you've got a lot of trauma responses, you know that your past choices have changed things in you. But when there is a physical being that you have to put cultivating their life story above your experience now, it's another level of understanding what's important to you, what your values are. And so I actually didn't speak to anyone for a few months. My brother, very kind person, took a lot of that visibility about the public relationship breakup. He organized a lot of that for me, answered a lot of questions. He was like the messenger in between me and people for months. And I'm so lucky and grateful I had him. And I know a lot of people don't have that person or that support network. I'm very grateful that I do. So, my kids, it was very interesting actually when I made that decision. And I say that it was for their their mental safety. I really thought it would be very traumatic for them. You know, they very much had it in their mind. They were going to have a stepdad. They were going to have that family vision that they're bombarded with at daycare and school. They are. What actually happened was they settled down. They stopped being so hyperactive. They stopped fighting so much and yelling so much. It was like the energy of that person's mental health in my house was removed. And so the kids actually felt happier, safer. I didn't expect it. It was very interesting to observe in them. They miss him. they changed for the better. And that very much got me through the decision. You know, I saw that change, the positive change immediately. And I was like, oh, I made the right choice. But it was a lonely choice. You know, it was facing the reality that I may not have any of those things that I wanted. I may not get those experiences. And over the last few months, I very much attracted, through the law of attraction, opportunities to learn those lessons about myself, see myself in a different way, pull apart that choice and decision, why I made it, where my values were, what my morals are, where I want my life to go as an individual, not as that environmental build-up when we're like kids going through childhood, where you watch the Disney princesses. Oh, the Prince Charming's going to come save me from the evil sea witch. Actually, that really hit me when someone said, like, there was a post on Instagram or something, and they're like, does anyone realize that Ariel literally didn't say a word and he wanted to marry her? Like, that's odd, right? Absolutely. That's weird. And we grew up with those things being normal. Like, we wanted them. I look at them now and I'm like, God, no, I don't want my daughter to think that ever. Actually, it's funny. It doesn't resonate with my kids. A lot of those younger Disney movies, they just don't care for them. It's interesting. Anyway, so I really pulled all that apart. I attracted a lot of opportunities to see my behavior, see my own mental health, to turn into the person that I want to be, to have my dream life, not the life I think I want. They are different, because the life I think I want is based off of all of my past experiences. It's based off the Disney princess movies and Shrek. God, I love Shrek. But she was literally saved by an ogre. She was still saved. All of these stories of the woman's being saved by someone. And then we wonder why, you know, we want safety. We want the house, and we want the money, and we want the guy, and we want the perfect world of what we think it is, and wonder why we don't feel safe when we get it. I got it. I got the guy. I got the money. I got the house. I got the beautiful kids. And things kept raising their head. Things kept going wrong. Things kept showing me, well, actually, now this isn't right. And it showed me that my values actually turned from, I don't need someone that's just going to buy me things. I need someone that's mentally healthy, that can support me and help me grow as a person, help my children grow, and help me cultivate them into amazing people. They are amazing people. But to keep that, everyone starts as an amazing person. The cruelest man on earth was, you don't blame him as a baby. Baby version of him couldn't do anything of the stuff that the man did. Or the woman, the cruel person, whatever it is. Anyway, so had a lot of self-reflection lately. And I was very proud of myself for choosing myself and my kids first. Very proud. I actually know a lot of parents and single parents that don't do that. And I know that it was in my experiences with my abusive exes, and then telling me about what they went through as children, was where that came from in me. Because I was like, nah, that's not how you parent. And it's from my parents, you know. They had their flaws, absolutely, but as a base level, I always knew that they loved me. Caused other problems, you know, because it's all about the balance, right? Because you can love someone like I did with my ex-fiance. You can love him, but there can be a red flag where it isn't enough. There just can't be. And that's probably a really unpopular opinion. We're taught to believe that like love conquers all, but it's not love in relationships that conquers all. It's love for the self. It's love for your life's journey and your environment. And then love for the environment is where the relationship comes into it. It's important. You can love other people. You can love your children. Like I love my children, obviously. But it's very common for mums to talk about, as most parents know, if you aren't okay within yourself, you're not going to be the best parent for them. So dating as a single parent, it sucks. It's hard, and I know I have such a big view on the world. It's so ginormous, my view on life and the world and health, what health is. And and I get judged constantly as a single mom. I don't even need to say much. You get judged on how you look. You get judged on how your kids look. That's like a basis level. That's the first thing. Trying to actually talk to someone, especially other single dads. I'm sorry, single dads out there, but not all mums are bad. Like, I get judged constantly about how involved my ex is. I am not in charge of him. I don't have any control over how involved he wants to be and not. I welcome it. It's healthy for my kids to have a good, loving relationship with their dad. But I'm immediately judged on it based on time spent. It's exhausting. Makes you want to give up, which I think is why a lot of moms just give up. They just do. You get judged on your mental health from what you've been through. For me, I was in really abusive situations in the past. For me, it feels safer being by myself. And from those experiences, you just tell someone about them, just to share your experience. And they judge you and go, oh, you're broken. You're damaged goods. It hurts when someone says you're damaged goods. It happens. The world is extremely judgmental. Now, I mentioned my big view on the world. I am not that judgmental. Actually, it's funny because I'm so not judgmental that people consider it the reverse. I can't understand some levels of judgment. So much so that people think I'm very judgmental. It's quite funny to me because I'm like, I don't even know where this is coming from. And I very much just go, yeah. It's been a lot of pain in my life from that. Because I go heart first. I'm a heart first kind of person. Wear your heart on your sleeve. Now, if you're listening to this and you're a heart on your sleeve sort of person, you know that most of us get hurt real bad. Pretty quickly, too. And I've been hurt a lot. And something that most people ask me, the considerate ones that want to find out about me because they do have a bigger picture of me and can see what I've done, see the choices I've made, see that I've got the dream life I want. I made it. I go, how? Why? And I go, I love first. I don't know what I don't know. I don't assume that everyone's the same. I know that even though I had that experience with that one person out of 8 billion, that surely at least 80% of the rest of the 8 billion aren't going to see eye to eye. Surely. You know, not everyone thinks the same thing as that person. So I lead that way. I lead trust first, love first. I give the person, any person, it can be a work colleague, I give them the opportunity to meet me at that level of trust as a nice, caring, good, I want to say Samaritan. It's like, I'm a good Samaritan. As a good person that's open and understanding. Like, I've had my experiences, and I know that I am the only one that can see my experiences. No one else can fully understand what I've been through or why I made choices that I had made. No one can. Not even your therapist. They just can't. Because they're not you. And I understand that with other people. And so I've always taken it upon myself to learn, to broaden my understanding, to say, oh, I wonder why that person reacts that way. And question it. Depending on what it is, ask them. And I open that, level of understanding, communication up. And it creates a mutual level and boundaries of respect, because I want to find out about that person, and they feel respected, that I want to understand, that I want to learn, that they have something to offer me, because they do. They have experience and wisdom that I just don't have because I didn't live their life. And what hurts for me is when it's not reciprocated. Especially when it's like, oh, I'm so interested in them. And then they go, yeah, but you're just this person. And they just judge you in return. But then it's good because it comes out of the waterworks like very quickly. That stuff, people show their true colors a lot quicker if you open up with love and trust. And they don't meet you there. And you go, oh, okay, well. Then you can start questioning things. And then for me, I question maybe too much because of my past, where I've just put up with so much crap from so many people. And I go, should I be putting up with this anymore? But for me, I feel safer by myself. Now, co-workers are easy because it's like, I don't have any real interaction with you. Like, you're not going to infect me and my children too much. Like, there's a level of boundary where it's like, I can be super open and honest with you guys because you're quite removed from me. But when it's like coming into your home, it's a bit different. It's harder. Anyway. So at the very least, I completely understand that people see the world very negatively these days. They lead with distance first, mistrust. You gotta earn it. You gotta earn your way into someone's experience or life. Don't get me wrong. You're not gonna welcome them into your life straight away. But you're not going to push them away straight away either. I think my grandma taught me that. My grandma was that Betty White type that was just like the nicest person in the world, that would just sit on a bench in public chatting to whoever wanted to sit down and complimenting people as they walk past and throwing chat. And as I've gotten older and more secure in myself, I absolutely do that. And it makes them smile. And that feels so good, just making this stranger smile and be seen. Yeah, I saw you. I saw how much effort you put into that hair today. You look great. You're doing great. You're alive. Everything is awesome. How awesome is the world? You know why? Because I don't watch garbage. I don't watch the media. I don't watch true crime documentaries. I don't watch horrors because it freaks me out. And I'm like, oh my God, my kids are going to die if there's a zombie apocalypse. What am I going to do? Because watching all those things makes it real in your experience. Like your brain literally absorbs that energy as it being real to you, that it's happening to you. And then we wonder why we feel so tense and so unsafe. That's why, because our brain doesn't know the difference. We can't tell. Because it's a tool. It's an amazing, magnificent tool. But a tool is only as good as the user. You could buy a $500 hammer. Now, if you don't know how to hammer a nail in, I should say, it's going to be pretty useless. You're still going to hit your hand like 20,000 times or something, like as a very ridiculous example, but it's true. So you could have like the most brilliant, intelligent mind. And if you don't know how to use it, you don't know how to rein it in when it's overthinking everything, or tell it to F off sometimes when it's just being mean, you're not going to use it to its full capabilities. It's just how it works. That's what a tool. Same with your body. You can eat 5 tons of ice cream not tons, tubs, 5 tubs of ice cream every day. Are you going to feel good? Are you looking after your tool? No. It's like, again, the hammer analogy, I guess. Not looking after it, you give it water all the time, it's going to rust. It's going to break. The rubber will fall off. Like, this is how it works. Anyway, so I've started big picturing my life with all these things. And it was 6 years ago now, I started really looking at the world and my life, because I am experiencing the world through my life, through my tools. So that's all I can look at. All I can look at is what I can do, not what they should be doing, not what you could do, because that's all outside of myself. That's out of my control. The only thing that we have within our control is what's going on in here. So I can't change someone else. I can't change their behavior and how they would impact my children from how this conversation started. But what I can control is their exposure to it through me, because I am responsible. And my exposure to things that I don't want to experience. What I want to experience is positivity. I, in 2018, even before COVID, was so tired of the world being so horrible. Everything was horrible. Everyone was depressed. I know there's so many people out there that are my age that just didn't know what to do with themselves. We didn't. And a lot of people my age being, what do they call us? They call us zillennials or something. Like we're in between Gen Y and, we're in between millennials and Gen Z, or Gen Y and Gen Z, whatever. Doesn't matter. It's another label. Point is, I was brought up as a kid with social media and the internet. So we've had this really broad understanding of the world in general that most people are only really just starting to understand now. And we lived with it. We brought up with it. Like my mom brought it up to me and she's like, oh, you don't even see the things that are on Reddit. I'm like, girl, people my age invented Reddit. Like, we've been watching it and reading it for a very long time. It came out a long time ago. And I went to, even just on that note, as a bit of a funny, I went to this seminar once on like advice for parents on this internet age with all their teenagers going through the internet these days and what parents should do. And I went with a 20-year-old that was my best mate at the time. And I went because I wanted to write an article on it. And I was curious because I actually have a very grounded view on tech because I grew up with it already. You know, one of the arguments was like, kids are 11 or 12 watching porn. I watched porn as a 12-year-old. It's not a new thing. I'm sorry. Parents out there, it's not new. And they're listening to these other Gen X's, right? They're all like a fair bit older than me. They were like this room of 40-year-olds or so. I'm 30. 40-year-olds. And then they're listening to this other woman that's like in her 40s. And my friend that's 20 got genuinely offended by what they were telling these parents to do. I was offended. I outrightly was like, that is not what you should be doing. And that is not what you should be telling parents to do. Nope. All it is doing is creating a whole new generation of mistrust, of trauma, of misunderstanding. Like, it's just... And I sort of sat there, I was kind of sitting there going, why don't you ask someone that actually knows? Actually knows what it was like growing up with it. Because I'm not like a crazy freak. I don't know what you think these kids are going to turn into. But we just had more exposure than what most people had. And what happened was evolution, and people evolved to have a greater understanding of life and a broader view on the happenings in the world and different languages, how people communicate different things. You know, for me, around that time, that same time when I was like, I've had enough. I used to cry just about how depressing the world was. Like, what do you do? It's all meaningless. I don't now. I worked out where I wanted to take myself. I worked out my purpose, my dream life, what I wanted to do. I was like, okay. And it's taken me 6 years. Like, it's not a little amount of time, but, well, actually, no. That's 8 years from that point. 6 years was from the self-neglect and then being like, oh, I'm doing this to myself. But from then, I went deep diving into the rabbit hole, mate. I grew up with, the internet. So I went, okay, well, I'm going to find some answers because the internet's vast. There's got to be some answers on here. So I deep dove. I went into history. I went into spirituality. I went into science. I was already a huge nerd. Already, always a massive nerd. Loved learning. I always did all the sciences and PE, like biochemistry, physics, engineering, physical education, anatomy. Like, the superficial stuff really didn't matter to me. I did graphics and multimedia, creative stuff. I did art and music, again, cultural, historical stuff. But accounting, but I was great at math. I was in the top math class. Anyway, just to gloat. No, that's not the point. The point is, I was like, there has to be answers. I got to find them. So I deep dove, went through all these rabbit holes, went through the internet, found so many answers. You know what the answers that I found was that everyone was saying the same thing in different ways, different languages, different labels. And it was just patterns and history repeating itself all the time. We look at spiritual, like this spiritual versus science industry, right? There's like this merging of the spiritual and science industry, and quantum physics is really driving this. And it's kind of hilarious because from this like really pattern recognition, like higher perspective, they're literally saying the same things, which is now what people are trying to tell everyone. And I always looked at spirituality as history. They didn't have the technology to measure these things, which is what science is. Science is just the measurement of things we're experiencing. It's the only difference. Spirituality is the feeling of the things we're experiencing. So there's like this small difference in variable. There's one variable that's different. One is the internal experience, how something feels. The other is the external experience of how something can be measured. Now we've got the technology to measure the feeling. So they're merging it. And I figured this out. I think a lot of people did figure that out because now it's in the billions of dollars in industry. It's one of the biggest and fastest growing industries in the world now. And I've always looked at it, I'm like, it's just a different language, which is how all of history has been. All cultures are just saying the same thing in different languages. Anyway, and then I realized, they're telling us the answer. The answers are all there. It's about how you feel. And it's that society has told us to ignore that. Oh. And because we've ignored it for so long, we don't even know how to feel it anymore. We don't know how to listen to it because we're so used to listening to the tools. But the feeling is another tool. You know, there was a thing for me, I never understood it. I couldn't understand it. But the millionaires, you know, you listen to those speeches about the millionaires and they're like, oh, how did you come up with this idea? How did you get to where you are? And they go, I followed my intuition. I followed my gut feeling. Every single person, every single one, they all say that at one point. I had a feeling. And I've always heard it and just gone, what is that? What is that feeling? I can't even relate to it. And I couldn't for the longest time. And now, because I have that really broad perspective, a lot of the people around me judge me. A lot, to be like, what are you doing? Like, it just seems so unstable. And they put this like belief on you. It's like their belief. It's doubt. And that it encourages your doubt. It encourages your fears. Because they go, well, you're not a millionaire. So how could you do that? And it's like, well, they didn't start as a millionaire. Bill Gates didn't start as the owner of Microsoft. He started as Bill Gates. He's always been the same dude. Now he's just worth so much money, it's not even worth him stopping to pick up a $100 bill. And people can't relate to that. So why on earth would you listen to them? If they can't even relate to the person that you want to be. This was a really big thing, actually, and maybe it's good advice for whoever comes across this video. One of the things I realized in my life is that I only take the advice of people that are where I want to be in a certain way, in a specific facet. So when it comes to money, let's say, why would I listen to someone that has less money than me? Or would you take the advice of someone that has a lot of money? As a money example. Now, that's not to disregard someone that has more freedom than me. Say a homeless person was on the street. They are my equal. They have just as many experiences. Well, they might have more if they were older than me. But they are still a human being that deserves love and kindness. Absolutely. No judgment. May not want to touch them, depending on where they are. But they have wisdom. Because I don't know what I don't know. And so what I can see that could be valuable, that they could provide me out of wisdom, would be freedom. Because they have time. They have all the time in the world. That is what they chose. They didn't choose a societal paradigm of work, eat, sleep, repeat. You know, they didn't choose that. And you could argue and say that they weren't given that choice. Again, I don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and argue with that. I would go and ask them. I would ask that person. Because I know that you wouldn't know. And I know that I don't know. So I'm not going to make something up in my head. Because that's what you're doing. You're making up a story out of your imagination of something that was on a movie. Or the only way that we could reasonably understand it. Because who would choose that life? And really that then comes back down to judgment. You're judging them for choosing that life. I actually am on the opposite side where I'm not judging them for choosing that life. I can see where there would be a benefit to choosing that life. So I constantly lead with this like love and positive outlook because I've seen so much darkness and I specifically am done with it. I choose not to anymore. That is my choice. I choose to have a positive experience in life. I choose to not be so low anymore that I can't see a point in living. Now, I know there's people out there that have been there. And I know I have something to offer those people. And it scares me wanting to offer that advice to people out of fear of judgment from friends, family, whoever is watching this. Family that could think that I'm still that person, because for some reason a lot of people just think people can't grow. No. It's so frustrating. I've been really working on myself lately and communicating to someone very close to me about my life and my life's experience since knowing them the first time. It's been 15 years. And it feels to me as if me even just telling him about those experiences means I haven't moved forward from them. It's like, no, I can talk about them very openly in a lot of detail, a lot of self-analysis, showing those emotions, because actually that's healthy. That is the healthy part. It's like it wasn't a nice experience. So yeah, I'm going to cry while I'm talking about it. Or if I'm triggered by an experience, it's probably a really unpopular opinion, I am going to let myself feel that trigger because it was deep and painful. And maybe, depending on what it is, maybe I still struggle with it. But I'm not going to realize that until I go, oh wow, I was really triggered by that. It takes that experience, it takes that trigger and that emotion to be like, oh wow, there's something in this for me still. And you recognize it as a whole person, as a mentally and physically healthy and energetically healthy person, to then step back and go, okay, I need to look at this for myself, not for them. For me, I don't want to feel that way anymore. I want the dream life. My dream life is happiness and ease and freedom. And yeah, there's a lot of human ideas where it's like, I don't want to live on the street. I want a house for safety and security and for a better life for my children. Absolutely. But there is no one person in this world that will have all the answers. However, if you treat this world like a library of resources from all these different people, the 8 billion people that are alive now, the billions of people that have been in the past, that have shared their experiences and their journeys, like there is such a wealth of knowledge and experience available to all of us all the time. And we squander it thinking that either we know best or someone else will know better. And I very much lead my life by, if it's in my experience, if it's coming to me and it's here and it's something that I can interact with, there's something in it for me. No matter what it is. It could just be kindness. It could be a smile to brighten my day, brighten their day. Maybe I'm there for them. You know, it's not always about me. And all I've noticed is that it makes my life a lot nicer. It's been a lot happier life. Appreciating more things, being grateful for more things. And the whole mindfulness industry, that's literally all they're trying to tell you. And really, if you dissect this message, I just gave you all the answers. Thumbs up. So I'll leave it there, I guess. Thank you for staying with me on my update. Maybe I'll do another one soon. Love you. Bye.